Hey, do you ever, when we were just praying before this, before we started this podcast, and you said the word bind, do you know what that means? Like to, it's so used in like the, probably more in the charismatic church than anything. I loose and I bind.
Yeah,
But do you know like what
background to that, or the actual meaning?
What it meant when, like Jesus was talking to Peter about binding and loosening, or what that meant back then?
I mean, I think so.
Do you remember? Maybe someone told you one time?
Well, I just feel like it's that thing of saying, you're taking a spiritual authority that you have by the power of God to take something and then to bind it up, like binding the strong man of the house that Jesus talks about. So it's like you're tying it up and then putting it someplace else, or where it should go.
Yeah.
Right?
Pretty close. Because what Jesus said to Peter, I think this is just, I don't know, this is the way my brain works.
Yeah.
I just hear one word and I'm like, man, that
You're
word
lost
actually
for
has
like a whole day.
Oh my goodness. I will. I'll lose a whole entire day about it. But it was just weird. It has nothing to do with what even this podcast is about.
Yeah.
But it just had me thinking about how cool it was when Jesus told Peter, hey, the things you bind on earth will be bound in heaven, and the things that you loose on earth will be loose in heaven.
Yeah.
And so basically what he's saying is, Peter, what you forbid on earth will be forbidden in heaven. Mm-hmm. And what you say is, what you permit on earth will be permitted in heaven. What do you even do with that?
That's so hard. I heard something like that, but I actually heard that there was a tense issue with that, like it's actually past tense, like or it's has been, and I'm terrible with like present participle perfect, or who knows, but like what you bind has been bound in heaven, something like that, and maybe that kind of alleviates that confusion.
So you don't think that that's true?
I think
Jesus was giving Peter that authority? Partially.
Like, I think it's more of a thing of, in heaven, not just in the heavenly realms where there's spiritual battle going on, but in the God's abode, where God is and where he resides, like, most fully, I guess, maybe. Although that's difficult too. But so in this place called heaven, like, everything is perfected. So whatever... You can't suddenly do something on earth that's going to make something better up there. So maybe it's about being in line with heaven most completely. So like, look, if you do my will, you're essentially echoing what is happening and in heaven, where there is perfection, where my ultimate plan, where my will is happening. Kind of like that thing of saying, thy kingdom come, thy will be done on earth as it is in heaven. So on earth as it is in heaven. So in heaven, these things are already being done, God. Right? So we want that in on earth now. We want the kingdom of God and the kingdom of heaven. So I think it's Matthew that uses the kingdom of heaven a lot. He uses that language. We want that to spread, that amazing love, that perfection, that beauty, that harmony. We want that to invade the space where we're at on earth.
So then what does he mean when he says, I'll give you, like in Matthew 16:9, he says, I'm giving you the keys to heaven. That's what he says prior to that. So the verse goes, I will give you the keys of the kingdom of heaven, and whatever you bind on earth shall be bound in heaven, and whatever you loose on earth shall be loosed in heaven. And the binding and the loosening, they knew what that meant at that time. This, as far as like my understanding, is that meant to forbid or to okay. Like that was a language that they would have used back then, that they would have understood.
Yeah.
And so it's the same Greek meaning of, in this context of what I heard. So I just didn't know. So maybe I shouldn't say, did you know? It should be more of like the majority of my theme on this whole entire podcast is, what do you think? Do you think that is real?
Well, yeah, and that's a good one to actually bring up, because I think a lot of times we do that thing, and you and I both have been, consider ourselves charismatics, but there's things that you don't anymore?
No.
Okay.
Don't ever speak for me in that tone.
We believe that the gifts are for today. We'll say that.
Yeah, for sure.
And then there's a lot of nonsense that happens in the charismatic movement.
It's the camp.
Yeah,
that
the
you
camp.
When you say charismatic,
yeah,
it gets out there really.
it gets off the
So I
rails
don't- I
real
don't
quick.
Like
yeah.
to be in that camp.
Completely, yeah. And we'll have a whole pod dedicated to just absolutely throwing them under the bus. And no, I'm kidding. I'm kidding. But like, we say things all the time and we don't even know what they mean necessarily.
Right, yeah.
We're like, I learned this and I learned this, when I was 16. And so I think I'll just keep saying it. I've heard the one where, what is it? That your word will not return void. I've heard that misused in different ways. There's just a lot of stuff. We won't get into it, but
So
we just say
many
it.
idioms and things that Jesus and the disciples used that 30-point sermons for 50 weeks
Yeah.
have been taught wrong.
Oh yeah,
It's wild.
sure, it's true.
I mean, it's
100%.
yeah, it's really crazy.
Yeah.
That'll be for another time.